Welcome back to PJ Chen Design. This is PJ. Today I would like to talk about how to make this money bag shape with the SubD and the rope wrapping around it. Finally, we're gonna have any of the logo or the sign to extrude it follow this surface. Are you ready? Let's get started. So in this tutorial, there are three components right here. First, we are going to make the bag with the SubD in the Rhino, and we're also going to make a rope that wrapping around this one, and also the text, and that has the same curvature with the body. So that's starting from the scratch. First of all, you need to decide how big the size that you want, and I basically want to create a SubD sphere. In this case, I'm not printing this out, so I don't worry about the size, just want to show you how to make it. Once we have the SubD, we are allowed to kind of manipulate with it. You can drag it with the point like here, and then you have those selection filter right here, and you can use the point or you can drag it with the edge or drag it with the face. It's up to you how you like to do it. I basically want to pick up all the point right here and it kind of scale it down so it's more like a taper form from my top. It doesn't have to be like super symmetrical as long as I know where the center is. Now what I wanted to do is if I go ahead to pick up the face using the face selection, and then I'm going to pick up this 1, 2, 3, 4. You can notice that while you are pulling, the whole shape is pulling. So now I have more like an egg shape instead of having additional things to play with. So what I wanted to do instead of pulling right here on my Rhino gumbo, you can see there's a dot there. So instead of pulling the faces, I'm actually extruding. So I'm going to extrude it one more time right here. So now we have an extra surface that we can play with. I'm going to pick up with the selection for the edge on my SubD and then kind of scale it down, holding my shift key and to scale it down something like this. And then I want to moving everybody down so to be nice and round. Now if you look at this, now we have this shape that we want. It's tidied up on the top. And then we need to continue to play with this. Again, if you're using the face selection, and then you're going to click 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, if you are trying to pull it, and you can see like now the thickness is getting too sharp. So I'm actually not going to pull the faces. I'm going to extrude it one more time. And then extrude it one more time. That's giving me a lot more room. Now I can bring this one back like this, and notice that this edge is getting super sharp there. So holding my shift and then drag it inside and then pull it down like this. All right, now you can start manipulate this edges there. If you feel like this edge is like too thin in the way, so we want to coming into within the selection for the edge, I'm going to pick up this edges right here and holding the shift key, double click, and then you can pick all the edges, and I want to 3D scale it down. And when you 3D scale it down, you're also increasing the thickness because I'm moving them toward to the center, right? Now we have this one, we can kind of play with it. We don't want them to be exactly the same. So I want to make it more natural look. Let's using the selection filter. We have a face here on the SubD, and then I'm going to pick up this one. Say this one need to go higher, this one need to go lower, and this one want to go higher as well. And it's kind of playing the different shape of it. All right, so once we have that, and you can continue to tweak it if you want to, they're saying like this going up and down, you know, changing the position or things like that. Now you have the shape that you like. We are going to make the rope design. Let's go ahead to the top view, and I'm going to drop a rope, and basically this rope, it's going to, let me turning into the ghost view here. So this rope is going to coming over here, coming over here, and coming over here and wrapping around and something like this, right? So I want this rope to go, if I pick up the curve right here, I want this rope to go like this, right? And then you can continue to edit, like make them fitting into the body better. It's like this one, it should be coming out like this. Otherwise, it's going to stay on the top of the neck instead of on the neck. right there. Alright, so even though this one is looking crazy on my front view because it's snapping crazy on the piece, that's okay. We just want to take a look on the top view. And what we wanted to do is we want to pick up this curve, and I want to project this curve to this SubD surface. So now it is hopping on the SubD surface, but it is hopping in a way that it's like going to the both top and the bottom, and we don't need the one on the bottom. So I'm going to simply just using the split command, and I simply just going to split this curve with the point, and let's say this point here and this point here, and I can delete the one on the bottom. Now if you want to edit this curve, you can see this curve, you want to turn on the control point. It's a lot of a point that over there. So what we wanted to do is simply just rebuild this curve and rebuild to the curve a lot more less that we can manage. Like 117 is the point that we have now. So we don't need that many. Maybe we just want 20, right? And then so that is more manageable, or even less. Let's do 12. Okay, so there will be some deviation. That's fine. We actually don't really care if it's super hopping on the surface or not, because we are going to edit it. Now, if this is not a position that you like, you can kind of moving up and kind of tweak it from there. Maybe this one, I want them to open a lot more. This one, I want them to open because I want to have something else in there. So you can see we have this curve right here. And the next thing that you can do is you can try to, instead of a project, and we are going to use the pull command right here, and we are going to pick up the curve that we wanted to pull. And for the SubD faces, you might need to come into the faces, and I wanted to pick up all the faces that possible will be pulled to be touching, and hit enter. Then you can see that the curve is now nicely to hopping on the surface. Double check it if this is what you want. We're gonna go ahead to make sure all the curve is being joined together instead of the section, right? You can continue to edit into the shape that you want. I'm going to stop here and just do a test. So I'm going to simply just go ahead to pipe it and to see if that worked well. All right, it looked like this is a certain part. No, actually it worked fine. All right, the things I don't like, if you take a look on the render view, is this one is not, the rope is like getting into each other. It's not on top of each other. So I'm going to do some tweak here. Let's go ahead to pick up the curve that we have, and we want to rebuild one more time, and we want to rebuild into something that is manageable. And right here, this one and this one, I actually want them to go higher. All right, so what that does is you're going to have pipe again, for example, and then you're gonna pick up this one with the same diameter, and you can see now one is on top of the other one. It looks more natural, right? Once you have done that, we don't want our rope this is sitting inside of the body, so we may want it to moving up just a little bit. Okay, now let's do the rope. Let's go ahead to make sure we know the length by using the length command, and it shows it's 62563 millimeter. All right, simply just want to copy that, and we want to use the polyline command, and we want to create exactly the same length right here, and then that will be the length. Right, simply let's go ahead to piping this one to be something the size that we like. So I simply just going to do about 0.4 millimeter maybe, and it's up to you if you feel like this is like too, I think this is a little bit too thin. Maybe I want to pipe it again. Let's do it for radius for 0.25. All right, so now I have one part of the rope there. I simply wanted to making a copy right here and making another copy right there. So now I have 3 pieces. Let me turn the color into the black one. It's easier for you to see. Okay, so with those 3 pieces, let's go ahead to Boolean union together, and then we'll have this like straight piece right there. I simply wanted to find where the center is. By using the align tool, we have align centers, and I want to align everything there. So you can see that this is the curve that I have. Let me mark into the red color. All right, so to make it look like a rope with this texture, let's go ahead to use under the transform, and we have the twist command. And with this one, let's twist, snapping into the endpoint of the curve and also the endpoint of this curve, coming into the right view. You can decide it like how many turns you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I physically need to turn in 6 turns. And if this is not tight enough, you can continue. Let me also go back one more time. We want to do it one more time with the twist command. That's snapping into the endpoint right here and also the endpoint right at the red one. And let's do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so it should look tighter now, and double check if this is something that you like. Right? If you like this one, let's go ahead to make this straight one coming into this one right here. The command that we are going to use is flow along curve. This is the object you want to flow. This is the base curve. Pick up one of the end on this red one, coming into your target and pick up one of the end. So then you can have this rope going into the body. All right, and then you can kind of, maybe mine is not fat enough. I should have to make it fatter, but you can adjust them to make them fitting into there. I was raising it up too much. All right, so now we have this over there. We need to make any of the pattern, the logo that I want. I simply just gonna go into the text command, and with the text, I'm going to type a money sign there. And I want to use the Arial black to make it really, really dark. And I want it to be solid. How tall do I want it? 10 millimeter in my case is okay. So then I have a big money sign there, right? Notice that this is like really straight surface right there. If you can take a look on my right view, that's really straight. So we want to follow the body of this one. Now notice that this one right here as a money sign, it is close extrusion, which is also the polished surface as well. This is a SubD, right? So what we wanted to do is convert the SubD into the polished surface. So let's go ahead to pick up the SubD, and right here that we have a converted SubD to the NURB. And so it will ask you if you want to delete the SubD original, delete the original SubD. We don't want it to delete it, so we want to equal no and hit enter. So now they have this polished surface, and we can just enlarge to make it a little bit bigger for whatever thickness that we want, right? So once you have it, I'm simply just gonna use that as a cutter, right? So this one, we're gonna use a Boolean split. This money sign is going to be split by this color right here. And now we can delete this one. We can also delete this one. That's why we can have this one. It's perfectly fitting into the surface right there. And let's take a look on the render view. All right, so now the proportion is not what I want, but I just want to show you the process for this step. All right, so if you like the way I model, think about joining the membership. I share a lot of my tricks and tips in my membership program. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next.